Well, what's going on, everybody? My name is Darius.
And I'm Trinity.
And we are about to be the Davises. Oh my gosh, can you believe it?
No.
Well, we just want to give you a little bit of insight on who we are and why we are together before the wedding gets started. So tell us the story. Let's tell the people our story.
Our story. We're going all the way.
Are you giving your version or the truth?
Oh, you wanna cut?
You were sitting at church.
Oh gosh, yes. So there was an ordination, and it was for a minister at their church. And as I was sitting there, I remember hearing the Lord say so blatantly, "Your husband's behind you." And I was like, okay. So I turned around, Darius is there, and my cousin was next to me. And I turned to my cousin and I was like, "Brianna." And she was like, "What?" I was like, never mind. I remember I wrestled with that for a few months, actually. I didn't say anything to anybody, but during those months, there were little things that would start coming up with Darius. One day, my cousin, we were sitting at the table, and at that time, single and joking about, dating and stuff. And so she was like, "Well, what kind of man do you like?" She was like, "I'm a little confused here." And so I was like, tall, handsome, can sing, loves the Lord, can teach the word. And she was like, "You know what? That kind of sounds like Darius." And by that time, I had been wrestling with this for a long time. So I was like, why that name of all names?
I think it was 2 years prior when the Lord had told me in a dream that my wife was going to come from first fruit. During that time, I had not even thought about Miss Trinity, and after that I kind of put some feelers out there with some of the people there and was like, the Lord told me that my wife was gonna come from first fruit, so I'm just waiting to find my wife. They was like, we don't know anybody, we can't think of anybody. So I was like, oh, okay, well, great, okay. After that, I had another dream where I heard my wife's voice. I heard my wife ministering, and I was like, okay, took note of that in my spirit. Fast forward to, it was the end of the year, and I was on my way home from Texarkana, and the Lord told me, he said, "This time next year you'll be standing with your wife." And I was like, okay.
It was definitely one of those moments for me where I was like, you know what, Lord, there may be something to this. And so I remember I had to start declaring it more. So I would start saying it out of my mouth more, like, okay, Lord, I feel like this is what you're saying, but I still don't know. When I finally got to the point where I was like, okay, I believe you. I sat down with my aunt at IHOP. I'll never forget it. And we were sitting down in front of the window, and I said, the Lord told me and that Darius is my husband. I was expecting her to act in a whole other way, but she was like, he's a good guy and all this other stuff.
I remember I came and told my mom, I was like, "Mom, what about Trin? What about Trin?" And my mom was like, No. We're not gonna do that. No, they too close to the family. We're not gonna have none of that. And I was like, I don't care what you say. I'm gonna pursue Trin.
So finally, Olive Joy comes. I had gotten a lot of dreams, visions about Olive Joy. During that time, the Lord was showing me Darius sitting next to me, Darius standing next to me. And if there's one thing that I'm really, really big on, it's not forcing visions or dreams to come to pass. So when I was there at Olive Joy at the conference, I hardly spoke to Darius. Actually, during this whole process, never spoke to him. He never knew. Didn't sit next to him. None of that. I sat in my own seat by myself, and of all the places he could have sat, he sat next to me. I stood on the stage in my own place, and of all the places he could have stood, he chose to stand next to me each day of the conference.
At the conference, yeah, I was intentional.
Yes.
I was intentionally trying to sit next to her, trying to stand next to her. I was waiting on her to come off stage so that I can grab her
Yes.
hand and be like, she touched me.
Oh my
She
goodness.
touched my arm. So I was intentionally doing that.
I couldn't focus too much on it because, again, I was there for a whole nother purpose. It was Saturday night of the conference. We each had to give a word, or we each had a word, I should say.
It wasn't until she opened up her mouth. I was already out ministering, so when I came back, somebody tapped me on the shoulder and was like, Trinity has a word. And I was like, this Trinity? When she stepped out and she spoke, you can look back at the video, I immediately was like, because her voice, it clicked in that moment. It was like, this is the voice that I heard. This is the moment that I heard. I was literally just in awe because I was like, I'm literally looking at my wife. This is the woman that I'm gonna be marrying. And I have not even had that conversation with her yet. I was like, we supposed to get married and all of this. And of course, during this time, I don't know anything that God has told Trinity. I don't know if she sees me as big brother, big cousin, or what. I'm just like, she's supposed to be my wife. So I was a little antsy. I was going in and out, doing
nothing. Nothing in your head.
I
You didn't even play it
I would just walk in, scratch my head, and then walk out because I was like, before the end of this conference, I'm getting this number.
That Saturday night, Darius came up to me. He did ask. He was like, do you have my number? And I was like, no. He knew I didn't have his number.
I knew she didn't have my number because I don't get my number out.
So we exchanged numbers, and February 13th, that is when we had our first conversation. That's when he finally, mind you, he asked for my number in January. So I was like, what is taking him so long?
I'm going to talk to all my believer fellas out there. I think there's a feeling that we all go through nowadays where we don't want to come off thirsty. And we don't want to come off as if we are trying to force somebody or something like that. So some may say it's a little bit weak, but I prayed and I was like, God, yes, I am the man and I do want to pursue, and it is my responsibility to pursue, but I need a green light. And lo and behold, 2-3 weeks after the conference, I was scrolling on Facebook and it was about to be Valentine's Day, and I saw a video of Trinity talking about, I need a man.
As the deer panteth for the water.
As the deer panteth for the water.
That is how much my
soul is longing for a man.
How did y'all say longing?
I was like, green light.
Green light.
I just hit her with something real smooth. I said,
You silly.
You silly.
You silly.
That's what I did.
It worked.
Never. It took her a while to respond. I was
saw
like,
the message.
What is going on?
Ladies, it was 11 at night.
It was.
And we don't do that.
Yeah.
So I waited till the next day.
She
And actually, I waited till the next afternoon.
ended.
I was like, I'm in
didn't play.
church.
I didn't
I go to
play.
bed, even though I was up all night after that. I was like, my gosh.
We got on that phone, and before we hung up, we were engaged because we was like, she was like, I just feel the need to tell you this. The Lord already told me that you were my husband. And I was like, what? The Lord told me you was my wife.
Yep.
So it was like, so we gonna do this? We doing this? Okay. Literally, our whole relationship has been just like that, where it's like God has told us what to do, and we have done that.
He has provided.
Oh my gosh, we have not understood this whole process of why we are here, even the time frame of what God gave us. But it was like he was so adamant, this is what y'all are supposed to do. And we were like, God, if you could tell two quote unquote strangers who their spouse is, then we can trust you with our relationship.
Yeah.
And that's literally what we did. And now we here.
Now we are here.
And what y'all doing? Watching
us from our wedding.
From our wedding. This is crazy.
What have you learned in this relationship?
Man, that's a good question, because I think a lot of times society places stigmas on men as far as what they can do, how they need to live, how they need to operate in a relationship. And one of the barriers that I had to break down early in the relationship was it was okay for me to express my needs.
Yes.
And one of my needs was affirmation. And I think that is so important for all of us to learn and to grow. And I know this is something that has taught me in the relationship is that, ask. If you need something, ask. And it is the responsibility of your spouse or your partner to provide that for you. And if they cannot provide that for you, be open to maybe that's not it, and we had to have a couple conversations and say like, hey, this is not forceful. We're not forcing you to do this.
Hey, Darius, come on.
You still gonna say yes?
You still gonna say yes when we get down there?
I was like, listen,
Let me know.
And we here. I mean, we still got 5 minutes. We got 5
Run away,
minutes.
Brian.
We'll
Run away, Brian.
Who got the getaway call?
I have learned that it is okay to be vulnerable. And if you know me personally, then you would know that I'm a very protected, shielded individual. So I don't like a lot of getting close and stuff like that. But what I've learned is I've become more fulfilled the more vulnerable that I've become. There was a time where he could not get in. It was really difficult for him to see me. And I was wondering, I'm like, why isn't he seeing that, on the inside I'm actually soft and I actually don't know what's going on. And it's because I wasn't honest or vulnerable about where I was. But when I let you in, oh my gosh, it changed everything. It changed my whole life, because what happens is now you can add to me, and now I can also give to you the real me, which makes it a safe place. And we think that, lack of vulnerability, that it is helping us, but it's really hindering us from having a real relationship. You'll think that you're doing a good thing because you're protecting and you are, keeping things out, kind of being a filter. But what's really happening is you're not a filter, you're repellent to things that could be healing for you. Once I allowed this awesome, trustworthy man of God to actually, oh Lord,
Talk about it.
Once I allowed him to see those parts of me, like that I hid for so long, like the goofy sides of me, the sides of me that's like, okay, ghetto and A-Leaf. All those sides of me that people do not see on the exterior. Once I allowed him to come in, it changed the course of my life.
That, even at the beginning of the relationship, that my one thing, I said I only had one thing, and that was I just wanted to spend my life with somebody who would allow me just to be me. And Trina has done that 10 times. Like I've never found myself more happier, so I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Hey, let's go get married.
Let's get married.
Oh, what we doing?
Okay.
Love y'all. See y'all soon. Can't wait to fellowship and be with all of you.
Yes, thanks for coming.